We started talking about the entrepreneur. How you have to be to succeed in today's dynamic business world, both as an entrepreneur in your own company, or as an entrepreneurial spirit in the large corporation. We talked about the core thing, remember? We talked about being core. We talked about strategy afterwards, how you position yourself, how you evolve from being a best product solution provider to being a total customer solution provider to try to create a system locked in with the clients, and how you can attain different positions in your strategy, and then how you can translate that into an everyday business model following what I've done. The next step, once your business is running and making money, is to grow. Because if you don't grow, others will do. And others' growth depends on, others' growth is achieved shrinking you in terms of sales and clients. Because the market is not permanently growing. So there will be a moment where the only way to sell a new cell phone will be if the person changes the company, the cell phone provider. Okay, so it's important to grow just because of that. This means that you need to grow little by little. 2%, 3%, continuous growth, because if not, you will eventually start shrinking. But from time to time, you will need to experience a very dramatic growth. And that's what we're going to talk about here. How to be able to experience dramatic growth at a certain moment of time in your company history so you can begin a new growth path. And that's what I call natural growth. And all companies have to achieve this natural growth. But here, we are not to talk about this natural growth. This natural growth is very much conditioned by these 16 elements. I just wanted to bring it to you so you bear it in mind. As I said, this is not our main topic. Natural growth, a little by little growth, that's not the one I'd like to refer to today. That's growth you do doing things well in the company. And that growth goes very much with the natural growth of the market. So these are 16 things that can help you to achieve that or may prevent you to do that. The first, if you want to assess whether your company is suitable for growth and it's able to take advantage of all the opportunities in the market for growth, just conduct an audit, checking how these 16 elements are. And you will realize that these 9 are growth accelerators in your company, and these other 7 are growth inhibitors. Once you've identified your growth accelerators and your growth inhibitors, what should you do? Take advantage of your accelerators and try to minimize your inhibitors. All right? So, if you are a very ugly man, but you sing very well, and you want to get a wife, don't do plastic surgery, right? Just, just wear a mask or something and sing. All right? Because the lady will fall in love with you just by the song. And then when she's completely in love with you, you just take away the mask and she will not see how ugly you are. All right. So don't try to change everything. You don't have to be perfect. Okay? It's good to be imperfect. It's great to be imperfect, and it's good to have things in the company that do not work. It's good to have 1 or 2 lazy people in the company, among 10,000, of course. But just as Elena was then saying, just leverage on your accelerators and try to minimize the effect of your inhibitors. Well, we're going to see our company as an ecosystem, an ecology. An ecology where there are some strategic initiatives arising from different levels of the company. It's important to understand how these initiatives arise in the company. And it's important to understand which ones we should support and which ones we should discard. That's the first message we're going to share today. The second is that strategy making depends on two variables: how concentrated decision-making power is, and the degree of simultaneity of the strategic action. The third lesson is that the strategic initiatives that arise within the organization and that are limited by the structure I just mentioned on power concentration and on simultaneity compete for a limited amount of resources in the company. We cannot fund any initiative. We cannot devote time and workers to any initiative. So there's a competition for the resources. And finally, every company has its own cultural and administrative mechanisms to decide what initiatives are supported and what are not supported. In order to understand the dynamics of growth, it's good to see company's evolution dependent on these four variables. The first one is the basis of competitive advantage in the industry. This is no more, no less than what are the external forces in the industry. And the next set of things to consider are your own distinctive competencies, your skills, your knowledge, your routines, your assets. And the question here is, are these competencies you enjoy the ones you need to make most of the industry where you are in, according to the 9 forces? That's the first very interesting alignment that you need. If you want your company to perform and to grow, you need to have what you are supposed to have. All right? That's the first alignment that we need. The second one is to align what the company says it does with what the company actually does. And this may sound weird, but I know many companies that have one corporate strategy that is not followed by anybody. So, what keeps these things aligned? What keeps these two aligned? What makes that what you have is what you need, and what you do is what you say you do? Something we call selection context, some cultural and administrative mechanisms, namely 2, decision-making and budget assignment. 2, how you make decisions and how you assign money. This is what really makes the whole thing being aligned. What I'm telling you may lead you to think that everything has to be aligned. And yes, everything has to be aligned when you are on cruise control. But cruise control is boring, isn't it? And if you stay all the time in cruise control, someone will pass you by. So sometimes you need to accelerate, and sometimes you need to brake. There is a divergence between the competitive advantage you need in an industry and the competencies you need, or there is a divergence between what you say you are doing and what you are actually doing. There is where you can find dissonance and leverage upon it in order to propel growth. The problem is that the signals of this dissonance are generally very weak. So you have to be very smart to be able to identify those dissonances. So how do we solve this problem? How do we take advantage of dissonance? And here I come to the first session and to the title of the current session, how do we bring the entrepreneur into the firm in order to accelerate growth in large corporations. Here is the model, and I hope you like it. The autonomous strategy process, the initiatives, begins with strategic initiatives that often emerge fortuitously and unexpectedly. You agree? Initially, there is no clarity about their strategic importance and how they may relate to the induced strategy process. Solving this indetermination is the most important challenge for company evolution, hence why the design of the strategic context is crucial. This is my new endeavor. I want to create the model to solve this, and I will offer this to every company in the world, and I'll become very famous and amazingly rich. I don't think so, but at least I think this is very important. And this is something we're trying to work on. How we can help companies identify what of the things they are offered, they should pursue, they should follow, and how they should fund them or not.